Okay, welcome back. So in the previous video, we discussed about how to create the HLS IP and how to export the HLS IP. Now, what we are going to do, we are going to add this HLS IP inside our block diagram. So go to the project setting. So we need to add that HLS IP inside this IP catalog. So in the IP, go to the repository. In this, click on add a button. In this add button, you need to select your HLS folder, and basically you need to give the address of your the zip file. So this is my HLS folder. Select. So now your viewer will look for the IP zip file in that folder, and then it will find out if there are multiple IP. It will give the how many IPs are there and link to those corresponding IP. So in that folder, you can see that there was one IP, and this is our accumulator IP. So I'll click on OK, apply, OK, and now you can see that in your IP catalog, your IP is being added. Okay, so go to the IP catalog and you go to the our HLS repository, and you can see that your IP is added. So in this way, you can create IP for your any algorithm, make it AXI compatible, and sell it. Okay, so this is how simple it is. You can for any novel algorithm create IP using the HLS, package it as a AXI compatible IP, and sell it anywhere you want. So this IP we have added. Now we'll go to the block diagram, click on the add button, then the accumulator. So this is the demo one which we have just created. So I'll add this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the accumulation over this square root output. So I'm getting the 8 square root values from the square root IP. I'm going to do the accumulation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to add the IP. Okay, output of the accumulator, I'm going to give it to the DML. That's it. I'm not going to change anything else. Then I need to add the clock signal at the appropriate clock input of that IP, and the reset is automatically taken care. Okay, so this is my new block diagram where we did the fixed to float conversion, then square root, then accumulator, and the output of the accumulator is passed to the DA. Now, what is the change compared to our previous example? In this example, your output is only one value. In the previous example, the output was 8 values. So you need to make sure that you need to change the appropriate uh, code in the your SDK, where you are transferring the 8 values to the IP, but while from the IP you are taking only one value. So in that simple transfer function, you need to do the appropriate modification. Rest of the code will remain the same. So now I'll generate the output products, and then I'll do the modification in the SDK, and I'll show you how the output looks like. You may get this warning because the IP which we have created from the HLS, it doesn't have a last signal, and the DMA has a last signal. So it gives the warning that you don't have the last signal, but this is fine. It should be okay. Okay, so the design is ready. So let's export it, override the previous design, and then now switch to the SDK. If you get some pop-up showing some warning, click on yes. Okay, so here first thing we should do carefully is that we should update our board support package. Though sometimes it is done automatically, but it's always good to do it on manually. So just click on regenerate BSP package. So after regenerating the BSP package, the tool will automatically build your ELF file. So, but as we know that we need to do some changes in the BLF file in the simple transfer function. So here from the device to DMA, we are not going to read the 8 values. We are going to read only 1 values. So that's why we are going to do the only one length is only 1. Also here size of int is may not be the correct one. It should be size of float, but both are 32 bits, so it is not a big issue. But ideally it should be a size of float. So my ELF file is generated. Now we'll go back to the Vivado. So now we are in the we'll go back to the Vivado part. Inside the Vivado, again, we don't need to make any changes in the test bench. I'll do the run simulation. So my simulation window is also open. So what I'll do it, I'll just relaunch simulation. It will automatically take the updated ELF file. And since our interface of the DMAs is same, we don't need to worry about the signals in the simulation window. Okay, so we'll run the simulation for slightly longer duration now. So you can see that the transfer from the processor to the memory has completed. Then the DMA has started reading the data from the block RAM, and the DMA has returned the data back to the block. So if you see now here, when the DMA is performing the write operation, okay, so let's focus on here. You can see that only one write operation is being performed, okay, and the value of this one, okay, so we need to, okay, this is in the real one, it is 36.75. Okay, and if you do the calculation, it will be the correct value. You are doing the square root of the operations and then the sum of the square root operation. Okay, so if you want to look at the initial data, so you can see that what is the data being transferred. So first is the 0 being transferred, and then the 4 and so on. Okay, so you can verify this operation with the corresponding the data what you have done in the SDK. Another thing you should look at is the corresponding instruction which is being fetched and the corresponding operations which are being executed. So you should take care of that on your own. You should look at what are the instructions, addresses, instructions, and what operations are being done. This is especially useful for the interrupt debugging example. So this completes our lab 11. Please complete it on your own and submit it as a homework.